How's it going, everybody? Sigma the Wolf here. Now, many of you who might have followed me on Twitter know that this beautiful show, This Is Life with Lisa Ling, actually just aired on Sunday. Now, this is something that the furry fandom has been in very much high anticipations for in regards to what's it going to be like, how's the news and the media going to go ahead and portray us, anything like that. Now, I did a little bit of digging on Lisa Ling before actually watching this episode, and she's got a very good track record, so I had high hopes for this series, but I cannot, absolutely cannot express how happy I am that this series actually is going on and that they covered us in this final episode. So I'm gonna do a quick video review. I've got some notes on a notepad here while I was watching the series to go ahead and see, hey, what kind of comments can I make on it? What things did they do well? What things did they not? And I'm actually very, very surprised with how Lisa did regarding this particular episode. So I'm gonna hit on some of the points initially, and I'm gonna try to do some of this off of memory, going off of my notes here, and we'll go from there. So the first thing that I do want to cover that actually Lisa Ling did in her episode was that not all suits are talkers. I understand that I'm, one of these outliers here, and there are many others. I mean, even Telephone, who was featured in that episode, is not a talker. And it was something that actually blew my mind in regards to actually hearing Telephone talk and seeing Telephone for the first time, not in costume. So few things off the bat there. One, Lisa, you got an amazing individual to go ahead and interview regarding this community, this fandom, to talk about your experiences and what it's like to be in this fandom. Absolutely phenomenal pick. Great job there. It is a huge relief to see that we are actually getting some acknowledgement from the media that's not this negative light, which actually brings me to my next point. The fact that this episode did not portray us in a negative light makes me extremely happy that we actually got covered by Lisa Ling, and she kept her track record going, and I think that she showed us for what we are in at least a very good majority of our particular fandom. The next thing that I want to mention as well is the high cost of the suits. Oh my god, yes. This is a huge, to me at least, it is a huge point regarding this community that these suits are not cheap in any way, shape, or form. This is something that costs thousands of dollars, and for some it's even the cost of a used car, depending. It all depends on what options, models, and the detail you're looking for, but these are not cheap, and I'm glad that Lisa actually ended up hitting on that point. Next thing that I want to mention as well, and they also touched on in that episode, was that kids and animals as part of the main charities that we actually look into, or if not that, at least the fact that we go ahead and that we donate to charity. It is a huge aspect of our particular community of donating money. I actually mentioned it in my previous episode of interviews with Sigma in my Ratchet episode with my good friend Ratchet Lombax. And it's something that he mentioned that we don't get a lot of acknowledgement or recognition for our help with charities, and it is a huge point of joy for me to see that it's something that is recognized and was brought up as a part of this piece. Another accurate statement that was mentioned during this episode was the fact that we as a community were heavily ridiculed, and still kind of are heavily ridiculed, and I hope from this piece that Lisa brings to light some of the points of contention here in regards to the fact that, hey, maybe as a result of this, I don't think that we as a community will ever be mainstream, but maybe we can actually be seen as just that, another community of fanatics of a subculture, just like Star Wars is, just like Star Trek is, just like anything else. And I hope that that's where we could be at, where this is not something that, is seen as a highly negative thing. And I think through this episode, I can at least say as a positive note that I could actually recommend this episode to individuals who are looking to know what the furry fandom is like or what other people's stories are. I think it's something that I'd be able to look to this episode and go, yeah, this is something that I'd recommend. A point that was brought up, if I remember correctly, it was Boone who mentioned this. Boone's mentioned that we have a high acceptance and a high tolerance for individuals joining us, as well as that we have a very high positive attitude towards pretty much everything in our lives, or at least is about this fandom. And that is another point that is absolutely true. We are extremely positive everything that we do. One of the biggest things, and actually is going to turn into a video at some point, I was at Midwest Furfest, which actually is coming up very soon, Lisa, if you want to come out to Chicago. And I was there, I was in costume, wasn't doing anything, and I heard some, EDM type of stuff going on in the background in the lobby, and I figured, I'm just gonna go over there and I'm gonna join. I'm gonna partake in some of this. And I was actually encouraged and cheered on by the patrons to go out there and dance in suit. I'd never experienced that in anything else. In any other fandom, any other community, anything else that I'd ever been a part of, to have that kind of encouragement and riling support from just random strangers. And that is something that I took away as a huge point of joy and pride in regards to being with this fandom. Something else that was actually brought up as well, and this actually, I believe, was brought up with the Shada. If not, that definitely telephone is that this is a high fantasy type of fandom, that like there's anything, almost anything goes. And the fact that Ashada has an original species, the fact that telephone was brought up, which I'm fairly sure was an original species, that was all stuff that was also hit on this fandom, which is another big point that I think is about our fandom as well, is that we like to go ahead and come up with our own backstories. D&D was probably one of the biggest ones, with the Shada, and now her husband, congratulations on you two, ended up going ahead and she ended up making her own species, which I think was absolutely phenomenal, and which I think there's now going to be a lot of similar suits to yours, Shada. I expect to have a lot of influence in the fandom as a result of this series now. And honestly, for myself, I think that is an absolutely fantastic looking species. And in all honesty, you are an absolute warrior in the fact that you have overcome your illness, or at least overcome the illness to the point that you're living a very happy life. And now that you're married, that's absolutely fantastic. So that is another thing that I wanted to hit on as well, and at least and for sure that episode hit on. Something else that I believe was brought up at least 2 or 3 times was the sex aspect of this particular fandom. This fandom has had a whole ton of negative press that followed it. Terrible news coverage that ended up coming out. The infamous episodes on TV that cover this, anything from Family Guy to CSI, anything of that. And that put a negative light on us, and that has been something that we had been trying to shake for a long time. And I'm super happy that as a result of this episode of This Is Life, I think that this might be the bigger boulder that's starting to roll to go ahead and shake that off. Another point that I do want to bring up as well is that the individuals that were involved in this, Lelia, Ashada, Boons, Kage, Telephone, all these individuals, first off, any of those individuals that I mentioned, there might be a few that I might have missed. Thank you so much for allowing this to happen at Anthro Northwest, to be a part of this, to be a voice for our community, and to put yourselves out there like this. It takes a lot of courage to do that. It takes a lot of trust. I think all of you guys did a phenomenal job. Honestly, is something that, I hope that we can continue to do again and again and again, to keep showing that we are a phenomenal community to be a part of. And the fact that there was actually panels that were shown where younger kids and their parents are coming out, and it's something that we are actually going ahead and showcasing as well, that you got younger kids that are getting into this. This is not just older people, and parents have questions, kids have questions, and these are all things that we want to be able to ensure that those that are looking to get into this community, we continue to be welcoming for them and answer any questions, especially for newer people. And a couple other things that I do want to note on as well is that, Boons, congratulations on coming out there to your first convention and putting yourself out there like this. I think you're going to have a massive fan base now. If it hasn't happened already, you're going to grow exponentially as a result of this series. Telephone, if you ever end up seeing this video, if I end up meeting you in person, I do want to be able to thank you in person as well. You have been an influence to me. You've been an influence to so many other furries as well. And you've been a heavy influence on many of the community members that are higher up there, various committee members, to Griffin, Pandaz, Kage, so many other individuals. You have been a massive point of influence, and for you to be able to show yourself like this in out of suit, this is something that I think that very few people ever have the opportunity to have. Telephone, you are a phenomenal individual, and I would love to thank you in person. And if that ever happens, I'm probably going to be crying in suit. I'll admit that, but this is... words cannot describe how happy I am that all of this has happened. That we had notable members of the fur community, that we had individuals that weren't notable, but were still able to show us who we are, to share their life stories. And I know some of the comments that I saw on Twitter were like, oh, this is not the furry fandom, you know, there's a larger aspect of X and Y and everything like that. That could just be because that's what you're around, and that is okay. Just like anything else, at least my take on it is that this community is its own little bubble, and we need to be able to show the world that yes, this is the overarching bubble. There's going to be subcultures of it, just like human beings. There's going to be subcultures. But honestly, I think this was a phenomenal piece done by Lisa Ling, by everyone that was involved. I think words cannot describe this properly in regards to how well that this piece was actually done, and everyone that was involved on the production side. Let alone, I think in the long haul, what this piece does for this fandom is help shed a proper light on our community. Not the one that's shown on comedy shows or anything else. I think that this was a proper piece, a proper light that was shown onto our community to show us what we are really about. At least if not what we are really about, the biggest part of what we are about. Charity, giving back, continually trying to improve, give back to others and make them happy. I want that to be what my channel is about in due time. I understand that I'm at 120 some odd followers right now, and I hope that it continues to grow. I hope that it gets to the size of several thousand, tens of thousands, for all I know, if that happens in my lifetime. And I can only dream at night in regards to what kind of influence that I could possibly have. And if it ever gets to that point where I'm like that, fantastic. I would love to be able to be a part of a community that we can continue to bring others up, to bring those that are newer, that want to be the next fur tuber, that want to be the next telephone, that want to get into this community and make something more of it. There's a lot of different philosophies on this, and I can only try to paraphrase as much as I can, is that the best thing that we can do is to try to go ahead and put more things into this world that continue to make it awesome and give back to those when others would not. And to be at that point where we can keep putting positive things into this world and make it a better place. Ultimately, isn't that what we're about? As human beings, as furries, whatever. Isn't that what we're about in the grand scheme of things? At least we hope to be. I hope to be, at least. So, enough soapboxing. I know that this is going to be, maybe this is going to be a video that goes off to the wayside. No one sees it. Lisa doesn't see it. Who knows? All I can hope for, even if I don't get to the several thousands of followers, is that for those that do follow me or come across my videos at any point in the videos being out here at all, is that it ends up being a positive influence of some degree. That's all I can hope for. So, thank you all so much for joining me on this episode. It is a quick video review of This Is Life, the Furry Edition, done by Lisa Ling. Thank both of you, both the production company and Lisa Ling, for taking the time to take a look at our community, to interview these individuals, and to be a part of that charity event and convention experience. In the meantime, I've got a few more videos that need to get processed. I got a few more that need to get published. Some of them are sitting in my queue, waiting to be published. Some of them are going to be Christmas special related type of things. Others are going to happen while I am at Midwest Furfest. Some of them are going to be right before it. I did end up processing the footage for Midwest Furfest 2017. So if you guys want to take a look at that, that should be coming out in the next few days, probably this weekend. I need to relax for a little bit. Still in the middle of the work week. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Other than that, happy holidays. Thank you, Lisa Ling. Thank you, Part 2 Productions. Everyone, have a safe night. And maybe I'll see you at MFF. Stay awesome, my loves. Have a good one.